Aaron Tuttle here. It's storm season in Oklahoma, and with that comes torrential rain, high winds, and hail. To protect your home and your family from these threats, the one roofing company you should trust is Ferguson Roof Systems. They've been providing the best in roofing services for nearly half a century. Ferguson is Oklahoma's full-service roofing company, certified with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and a 5-star rating on Google. And with Ferguson now offering Class 4 impact-resistant shingles, now is the time to trust them with your home's roof. Get started today at FergusonRoofSystems.com.
I thought we were getting a break. Me too. I was really wanting a break. I got today. You got today. Today was a great day. There's only 90 out there. We had lots of sunshine, no storms. The humidity was lower. It was a beautiful day for June 5th. Hey, thanks for joining me. Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle with you. It is about 9:42 on this Wednesday night. We're going to talk about your forecast here for tomorrow, as yes, some storms are going to make their way into our neck of the woods. I was really hoping that they wouldn't. It is what it is. So we'll talk about it. I'm going to post in the comments section on all the social media platforms, Twitter, X, let's see here, and Rumble. Some links there for you guys if you're interested. And, of course, on Facebook as well. Make sure you join the Facebook broadcast channel for my Facebookers. That way you can fight the algorithms. And I'll tell you whenever I go live through your instant messenger. All right. Looks like everybody's up and rolling. Good to see you guys on YouTube as well. Okay, so out there currently, you know what? Still a little bit of sun, peeking up over the horizon at, good grief, almost 10 o'clock. So that's pretty bright out there. Is that what that is? There's still some daylight. Where are we, Alaska? What is this? Is it perpetual daylight now? Did I miss something? Did I wake up into a whole nother dimension? Where are we? So, you get some nice sunset sometimes this time of the year, especially if there's some cloud cover or some storms in the distance, kind of highlights off the back end. Those are always kind of nice to see. Again, no storms out there tonight, though, but we had some rough stuff, obviously, yesterday here in the metro. With some little bit of rain, a little bit of wind. Now, thank goodness, I didn't, honestly, I got to tell you, I didn't check to see if there was any significant severe weather reports after I signed off. But we'll look at the Mesonet data here. Most of these sensors detected wind speeds, looks like under 50 miles per hour for the most part. There was a couple here in southern Oklahoma, Ringling and Ketchum Ranch, up around 60. So there are probably going to be a few spots that in between those stations where they did hit some stronger winds, as we were detecting those on radar. Rainfall was a significant factor as well. Seminole, over the last couple of days, you've got about 5.5 inches of rainfall. McAllister about 4.5 to 5. Just west of you here is a red spot, which is up around 8 inches, 6 to 8. In that little area. Same thing between Holdenville and Seminole. And even right here in the metro, Norman, about a little over 2 inches, which you guys will flood if an inch of rain happens down there. But north of you in Moore, again, about 6 inches or so in that area, which caused some flash flooding and some ponding on the roadways. Temperatures today, that we talked about, weren't too terrible. Here in Oklahoma City, about 86, 85, 87 around the area. Northeast Oklahoma, same idea, kind of mid-80s. Did hit the 90s, though, once you head out to western parts of the state. Looks like mid-90s down around Hollis and Altus, and up to around Hooker and Goodwill. Looks like Goodwill's at 95. That's a state hot spot, looks like, on the Mesonet data. I'll be. All right, well, let's take a look here what's happening. We have a southeast wind that has returned. And that's going to bring in a little bit more moisture for overnight into tomorrow. Again, our dew points, which are the green numbers, are down around 60, even some 50s sneaking in up here. So believe it or not, that is kind of dry air when it's this time of the year. Now, if we were in, let's say, like March, it wouldn't be considered dry air. It'd be considered moisture because our temperatures typically don't get that hot in March. So, but when they get very hot in June, say the upper 80s to low 90s, that air really mixes out very well. So it still feels a little more comfortable for you rather than a dew point around 80, which is what snuck in to the state yesterday. Now, for right now, the severe weather threat is a marginal risk at best, and they have it anchored here over southwest Oklahoma. Now, there's a cold front coming in from the north It's going to kind of zip on through. And it'll probably be right about this fashion for tomorrow. And there'll probably be a little area of low pressure somewhere around here that'll anchor to. So the point being is, if it looks like storms will still be more of a factor, what they'll probably do is bring this slight risk back across, these areas here. So don't be surprised if the threat changes for tomorrow, because this frontal boundary being placed will be a pretty good cap around the area. But a frontal boundary is a way to break the cap. So we'll see if there's enough convergence along it that may happen. Again, here's a close-up view for right now from the Oklahoma, from the Norman office, up to golf ball size hail and 60 to 80 mile per hour winds. So we're not and very low in the tornado potential. Almost zero, almost. Sometimes you get something on a boundary. That would be your caveat. Outside of that, I would not expect it. But at least the hail size and the winds aren't quite as potent tomorrow as they have been in the past cases, and that's because we don't have as much instability to work with. Matter of fact, I'll show you that right now. I'll zip ahead to that graphic. Let's look at the cape and the shear. So if you notice, the cape value does kind of pool along the frontal bound, which is pretty much near the I-40 corridor, and again out here into western Oklahoma, into the Panhandle region. So again, that kind of jives with that slight risk that may end up getting put out there from the Storm Prediction Center. Now, if I do look at the cape values along this boundary, it's about 2,600 joules, so it's adequate. If you do look here at the specifics, it calls for a temperature right around 92 with a convective temperature of 93. So with the front in play, that should be no problem breaking the front. Now, the wind shear does turn with height quite a bit. It goes from an easterly direction all the way to a westerly direction in the first few thousand feet off the ground. So honestly, then that's very weak. It's like 5-10 knots at these lower levels. That's a lot of turning. So if you do have a storm that can anchor along that cold front, it could be tornadic. And that, of course, looks like to be in central Oklahoma. So I guess we'll have to watch for that outcome. Otherwise, let's take a look here at the big picture. This is a jet stream pattern. So we're going to watch that ridge of high pressure still develop itself for Thursday. This is going to be out here across New Mexico. And what happens is it puts us in that northwest flow aloft like we talked about, because the air rides up and over in the jet stream track and zips on in Oklahoma. And sometimes you get these little disturbances that'll ride through. They don't look like much usually, but somehow they are able to do enough lift in the atmosphere to produce some thunderstorms. There's a little signal right there that comes through Oklahoma for tomorrow. And then you can see more of these little areas out here to the west. They just may occasionally rotate through as we head into the weekend. So let's take a look here at Friday. So here's Friday midday into the afternoon. So there's a lot more indications here. So probably going to get one of those complexes Friday evening, develop across Kansas and Colorado, and then move into southeast Oklahoma, or excuse me, move southeast into Oklahoma as we head into Saturday morning, if it still holds together. And then as we go past that, here's a stronger signal for the same repeat performance Saturday night into Sunday morning. So another strong area there. So again, 'tis the season for MCS season. It is what it is. Honestly, I can't wait till it to be dry, hot, and nothing. Just so you know, because I get to take some time off and catch up on life. All right, so here is Thursday mid-afternoon. There's that lift in the boundary focused here over north central Oklahoma and along that front. Let's see, and then we'll zip on into Friday. So here's Friday afternoon and evening. There you go. A little bit of lift moves through the state. So we'll see if those storms hold together. Also through, looks like Kansas and northern Oklahoma. All right, and then let's see, there's Saturday morning. So again, there's a pretty indication lift may continue to allow some of those thunderstorms to still linger. All right, let's go to Saturday night, and there's that lift, all those bright colors that move through the state for Saturday night into Sunday morning. All right, so there's your timing of your wave. So that may mean that we can get, after we get through tomorrow, that may mean then that bulk of our Saturday and Sunday is decent. We'll see. Okay, so let's take a look here for our frontal boundary. This is at 5 o'clock. This is where I posted it. If you look here, you do have, let me see, let's draw this. Where's that front? Right about here. Assuming that the data obviously is 100% correct and that this is where the front stops its positioning about 5 o'clock. So you can see that's pretty much along east-west along the I-40 corridor, but it's on the north side of it, but that does cover the metro, especially the north side. So that'll be our boundary to get some showers and thunderstorms to focus on for tomorrow. Let's take a look here at temperatures. Now, ahead of that boundary, it's going to get a little steamy, a little hot. So the high-resolution NAM does heat us up quite a bit, about 94, 95 degrees. Other models aren't nearly that hot, but still, it's pretty toasty. Down southern and southwest Oklahoma, upper 90s looks like. I don't see 100s. Let's hope not. We don't want that again. You know what? The other day, hold on a second. Let me see. Do I have this on here? Before I go forward, I never did look at the temperatures with the humidity for the heat index, and I don't know if I'm too late to see that. Let me see. Am I? No, I'm not. Phew, good. I wanted to see how hot it got down here. Remember the forecast call for like 111, 114 for the heat index down here in southern Oklahoma, southwest Oklahoma. So there you go. Walters hit 111, Ringling 111, Bernieville 110, Granfield 113, Ketchum Ranch 103, and again, that's where the dew point values snuck in right around 80 degrees. So if you get a temperature of 90 plus degrees with a dew point of 80, it's gross. And so I remember, I think I said the word gross probably about 30 times that broadcast, and that's the reason why. All right, we don't want that again. Anyway, so I totally forgot about that, and I meant to go back and look, so I just got a little squirrel action there. Okay, so for tomorrow, though we're back into the upper 90s, let's take a look at the heat index for tomorrow about that time. It looks like it won't be too bad, about the same as the actual air temperature because the air probably mixed out a little bit more down here for the humidity, but it will be a little higher in this zone here. Looks like they'll be in the low 100s is what it's going to feel like with the humidity factored into the actual temperature, and that is just for your skin. That's for your body. It does not mount for inanimate objects. Your kids, your pets, and you, but that's about it. Okay, let's take a look at a few of the model data outputs. First off, we'll go to the Texas Tech WRF, and there's your little signal of the frontal boundary lighting up like a Christmas tree, east and west on I-40, right around, looks like 3 to 4 o'clock is when that signal is, and then that kind of dies out towards sunset. And let's see, interesting enough, it does have a little bit of an elevated return of some thunderstorms, central and southern Oklahoma as well as we head into tomorrow evening, well after midnight, so probably about 2 o'clock in the morning or so for a little bit. And there's our little signal there for Friday coming into northwest Oklahoma and in Kansas, and that's for Friday evening. Most activity looks like to be in Kansas. We'll see how that goes. All right, let's take a look here at the 3 kilometer NAM for us. And actually, I want to show it to you in a different version. We'll use this panel here. It looks like we might have some scattered weak light showers moving through around 11 o'clock in the morning, maybe even 12 noon, North Oklahoma City up here around Pond Creek, Enid, Wakamas, Fairview, Fairfax, Pawhuska, maybe even Tulsa, a few sprinkles. There's some other activity out here at Elk City and Eric. Let's go into the afternoon hours, see what happens. There's 1 o'clock, so then it does make its way into the metro. There's 2. This is all light stuff. It's not severe or anything. By 4 o'clock, it does fire off some storms up here in northwest Oklahoma, some big ones around Shattuck and Visay. And then those also out into the Panhandle near Amarillo. All right, let's go to 5 o'clock and 6. More showers and storms up here to the north. Obviously, it's a little different output compared to what we saw with the WRF a minute ago. There's 7 o'clock with most of the activity behind the front, which would indicate typically that this is elevated instability behind the front, kind of like what we call the 850 front, and not on the surface front, which again could be a mistake in the model data, but otherwise it does have that activity across the northern parts of the state and also out here across the southern areas of the Texas Panhandle and in southwest Oklahoma. Pretty good heavy thunderstorm there, looks like indicated in the data around the Hollis area and up here just east of Woodward, around Winoka, Fairview, etc. So there will be some scattered showers and storms around the area tomorrow afternoon and evening. Those do work their way here into central Oklahoma. Now this particular model does kind of have them falling apart a little bit by the midnight hour, and then there's not much left, looks like, overnight. There's that secondary indication for late tomorrow night into early Friday morning of some stuff popping up here in central Oklahoma. Remember that the WRF had that signal as well. Let's jump on into the HER. It's a little different. Let's see here. It's got those storms at 4 o'clock and 5 and 6 making their way in Oklahoma City to the north and west of the state on into Texas. And there's 7, 8, 9, 10. There's a little bit of action there far northeast Oklahoma. kind of a similar outcome. And then here is that 3 to 4 o'clock. So we've got, that's what I'm saying. These models sometimes aren't that helpful as far as location, but at least the signal is there. So between the model spread, you had one cluster here, one cluster here, and now you got one cluster here for the 3 a.m. to 8 a.m. time frame on Friday. Regardless, this has some additional activity Friday morning coming into northwestern Oklahoma through 11, just some light showers, nothing too heavy, and that moves on out. And then here's that indication for Friday evening, maybe a cluster coming in that we'll have to deal with if it holds together for Friday evening and Friday night, with that better signal like we talked about coming in for Saturday morning. All right, rainfall amounts. Let's see, let's just skip to the whole time frame here. Now this particular model, remember, it kind of favored, this is a 3 kilometer NAM, kind of favored the northern sections, even though it didn't fire anything along the front. And I think that's going to be an error looking at the data. So you're probably still going to get pockets of some heavy rain along this boundary in this zone too. And of course out here in the panhandle. It's the only difference I would make with this model forecast. But the take home here is you see this little spot of 5.89 inches. This time of the year, you can get some brief flash flooding and a lot of heavy rainfall when these things don't move that far, that fast. Just trains over the same area. So that's a heads up for tomorrow, especially if it forms here in Oklahoma City. All right, so temperatures tomorrow, the model of choice looks like low to mid 90s. Otherwise, on Friday, a little cooler. Looks like upper 80s. Saturday, back into the heat in the mid 90s. But man, I'm loving this. I don't know what's happening here, but I like it. Overnight lows will go from 71 down to 63. That's a good indication of some dry air that has moved in. So for this time of the year, if you can get dew point values around 60, you're doing pretty good as far as how it feels on the back porch when you're enjoying a nice cold beer or a nice little barbecue or whatever you want to do on the evening, read a book, sing some church hymns. Well, it's all up to you, whatever you want to do. As we head into the next week, though, for June 12th through the 16th, temperatures much more seasonable, back up to around 90, and around those getting on that little sticky side, up around 70. So anytime you get dew point values in the 70 plus is going to feel sticky to you. So get ready to start feeling sticky. Wife's not ready for that. She does not like to feel sticky. She can handle the dry heat, just doesn't like the moist heat out there at all. I don't blame her. I don't either. So anyway, that's what I got here for you. I was hoping not to do a live tonight. I'm going to be honest with you. I really didn't want to do it. It's not you. It's me. I just didn't want to do it. But when I look at the data, I was like, oh, if I don't do it in storms, I'm in trouble. So the bottom line is the slight risk of severe storms will be just that. It would be for smaller hail, up to golf ball size, winds 60, maybe up to 80. So those are the typical criteria. And this time of year, that's a blanket statement. So that's pretty much any storm this time of the year until we get later into June, and then that kind of disappears, and it's just kind of wind. Now, the tornado threat is, what word was my brain going to look for, and then I didn't find it. Is it going to come to me? Relegated? Was it relegated? No. What word am I looking for? It starts with an R. I used to be so good at words when I was little, and now that I'm not, that's okay. I don't need it. That's why my brain threw it out. He goes, "You don't need that word, Aaron." Point being, I'm trying to make is if there's a storm that kind of anchors to that frontal boundary and it's strong enough to have some nice convergence along it, a little inflow on that, we'll watch for a tornado potential along that. But outside of that freak occurrence, I don't think we'll see any tornadoes tomorrow in the data that I looked at here for tonight. So that's my plan. That's it for me. I will, of course, look at stuff in the morning and give you guys the lunchtime update. Just see how things are going, see if we see some of those spotty showers out there, and also to see if the storms look like they'll still erupt along the front, and if they'll still make it here in Oklahoma City by the time we head into our evening drive time for your work, right? Because otherwise you have to drive through a few scattered showers and storms, looks like, across the metro and western and northern Oklahoma as you head home. So that's kind of the plan from there. You guys, again, thanks for tuning in on all the various platforms. Let's see, Jack Peel on Rumble. I see your comments. So yeah, Enid was gross. The whole state was gross. If you're not from around here, I'm sorry. It's what we do here in Oklahoma. We get really hot, humid. Now I can tell you the good news. This only occurs through June. All right. And then once we hit July, it's like a switch. and we start to dry things out. The ground starts to dry out. The vegetation dries out a little bit more. Our atmosphere starts to dry out a lot more, starts to mix out better. So what you happen is you're still hot during the day, but in the evening time, there's a sweet spot for about 2 hours where it feels pretty decent. Especially if it's a nice breeze, you're in the shade, it's pretty good. All right, and then as you head later in the evening, like 9:30, 10 o'clock, the humidity rolls back in real fast, and so do the mosquitoes. If the sun's gone. So that's the difference there. So we can still squeeze out a little bit of nice weather. You just kind of have to pick your window to enjoy it. All right, well, that's it for me. I'm going to get out of here. You guys have a great rest of your night. Good sleep. Sleep is important. Make sure you get plenty of it. And wake up tomorrow refreshed, happy to start the day. And just be thankful if you get another day on this earth to do something good. We'll talk to you later. Good night.